Well, the results are in, everybody, and as it turns out, she's at the top of the leaderboard and sitting in a really interesting spot going forward. Will she go out at PT? Will she survive to the ProQuest's week 1? That's the real question, but let's talk about the end of RTN season. So here is the week 4 graphic for Road to Nationals, the final week of the Road to Nationals season, and really setting up what we're going to see at Pro Tour LA in almost, 1 week, 1.5 weeks, something like that. Just kind of crazy. It's like right around the corner. And if you want to talk Pro Tour with me and my friends that hang out for Give and Take and our special guest, Sam O'Byrne, check out Thursday. The stream's on Thursday. We're going to hang out, talk about Pro Tour, talk about a bunch of other stuff. I got some weird questions planned. Yeah, check that out on Thursday night. But looking at this, Dromai Ash Artist sits at the top of the leaderboard again this week, picking up 9 wins. And I think it's easy and safe to say that a lot of people did not expect her to be at the top of her game this kind of go around, especially when you look leading into heavy hitters and how it's going to add more poppers to the mix. It's going to, buff up some of those decks that are already doing pretty well. And of course, Brood is always an awkward matchup for Dromai, and yet here she is sitting at the top. And we saw, if you were watching the coverage from Man Sans and Savage Feats last week, and we saw multiple variants of the deck kind of put on display. You have a more mid-range version, you've got a more aggro version. The Big Dragons is still floating around and winning events out there. The crazy thing about this deck and Dromai in general is she just provides so much just headache for every hero in the format, really just about every hero in the format, minus the ninjas. And even then, you can sometimes still just like find the paths to victory in that matchup from Dromai. She, in my opinion, is just the hardest hero to deal with. She may not be the most powerful hero, like toe-to-toe damage for damage, but I would be hard-pressed not to have her up at that top tier. No, this is not a tier list. Maybe we'll do that tomorrow. I don't know. That'd be kind of fun. KO takes 8 wins. Consistency for KO through the RTN season. He is clearly one of the best heroes and one of the heroes de facto to beat in the format. And then we don't have a Guardian next. In fact, next we have Katsu the Wanderer, which is not surprising in my mind at all. In fact, if I'm looking to target Dromai and if I'm looking to race KO, Katsu's the first thing that comes to mind, and I think that is why he's been represented so much here. I'd be curious to see if this number goes up for Pro Tour next week, because if it does, if this number climbs for Pro Tour, then Katsu may actually be punching his way into that top 8 at that format. It is a split format Pro Tour, but I would not be surprised at all to see some Katsu up there if he can carve his way through the race matchups of KO and, of course, take down all the dragons of Dromai. After that, we have both Guardians, and these 2 Guardians would be the reason perhaps why Katsu doesn't make his way up to the top if these increase in popularity, and they are both very popular. Both Victor and Bravo pick up 5 wins apiece, with Kasai right behind. Kasai takes a little bit of a fall off here. Kasai, in my opinion, preys best on Bravo and really just Guardians in general. She preys on Guardians, and she has a fine and fair matchup into Brutes. She doesn't have a great matchup into Dromai, and you can win it from Kasai. I originally thought that was an unwinnable matchup, but the more I've played it, the more I think it is just bad for her. It's not unwinnable, it's just really bad. But she does have toe-to-toe damage output in, the ninja matchups as well. So she feels like an underdog pick going into this meta if she can dodge Dromai, but I don't think that doesn't feel good. Let's just put it that way. If Dromai is going to be heavily represented, it doesn't feel good. Bolton following her up with 4 wins, and Dash following her up as well with 4 wins. Both of those great heroes into the meta. The question mark again goes back to Dromai. Can they deal with Dromai in an effective way round after round if she shows up that much? And one hero that I feel can actually do that is Levia. If Levia can just output the massive amounts of damage that she can do off of the back of a really powerful, just like aggro deck, if you will, she can definitely go toe-to-toe with Dromai. The question becomes, does the Dromai player, are they playing, first of all, are they playing mid-range, and do they land like these Chromai Miragai combos or Miragai Kyloria combos, things like that. And then, of course, there's always the random chance that if you're playing a If you're playing a Tomultai and you just get to Tomultai Husk or something like that, then you just get enough value out of that to win that matchup. Prism has 2 wins, Dorinthia has 2 wins, and not as many people on the other heroes side of things. 1 Dash.io, 1 Azuri, another Azuri picks up a win, and our first Betsy Living Legend points. I looked at that deck list. That was a pretty cool deck list. It was one that's not so focused on pummels and things like that, and more focused around just getting value out of the wager mechanic and also just putting down good numbers. It's got like E-strikes and stuff like in it. That might be a good deck to kind of dive into maybe in a video this week as well. And then finally, Azalea picks up a win, really falling off. Taking a look at the overall RTN wins, this picture is, well, it might look very similar to this one. These are the numbers that you take a look at. This was put out again by Legend Story Studios. Fantastic graphic. Dromai picks up 37 overall wins. We'll talk about her point totals right now here after this. KO with 35, Victor 28, Katsu right behind him though, edging out both Kano and Bravo with 23. Kano technically is there tied with him at 23 wins as well. That's one we didn't see pick up a win at all in week 4. That's something to talk about as we're going to bounce over to the spreadsheet that I made here in a second. Bravo with 20, Kasai with 20. Sir Bolton and Azalea both at 17, Dash at 16, and then the numbers kind of go down from there. Dorinthia and Levia, both heroes that I would have expected to have more wins in RTN seasons this year, only picking up 13 wins apiece. Prism at 10, Rhinar really undervalued, I think, right now. I would love to see more Rhinar wins, but unfortunately Rhinar just sitting at 8. 5 for Azuri, 5 picks up 4, and then a split down at the bottom, as you see, for other heroes. 1 win for Viserai. Vincent got 2, if I remember correctly. Dash got 1. Olympia got 1. Max got 2? Max got 2 or 1? 1 or 2. In fact, that other hero's number might be 7. I'm not quite sure. But with this breakdown, let's look at what the overall point totals and standings look like right now, because we need to talk about Dromai. So here are the updated point totals for this RTN season, plus the battle hardens and all of that. And looking at Dromai, she's now sitting at 796 points. Look, okay, in yesterday's video, I talked about how Dromai had a real capacity and a real chance to Living Legend at Pro Tour next week. And that is still on the table because the Pro Tour, of course, is offering Classic Constructed points, and the Calling is as well. The Battle Hardened is actually a Living Legend format, which is really cool for anyone that wants to play this updated Living Legend format, and she may be joining them very soon. But because she's 4 points short, that is literally 1 Road to Nationals win short, she does not Living Legend simply based on winning the Pro Tour. Now, it's, of course, that's a hard thing to say. Like, win the Pro Tour, Living Legend to the hero is a difficult proposition in and of itself. But if she had gotten 1 more RTN win, then it would be a clean bump up by winning the Pro Tour. It would be easy, but now it's dirty. Now it's hard to explain. So if she doesn't both win the Pro Tour and the Calling, then she, I believe, will be live for the ProQuest season, and she will probably Living Legend out the first week of ProQuest season. That's really interesting. So that's a nice storyline to follow going into the Pro Tour. Will she pick up both wins? And if not, she's sticking around until the first week of ProQuest, which is going to indeed be in April and also be a Classic Constructed format. The other point totals aren't as movement centric. It does behoove us to take a look at KO sitting at 180 now, climbing nicely. Victor 112, Kasai about to hit 100, a little bit of ways away from that. And then, looking around here, Zuri's at 268. I think a lot of people were freaking out. I saw someone post, I forget who it was, posted on Twitter. They were like, don't tell me Kano's only at 294. Y'all, look, Kano's not good. He's just a silver bullet to the format. He's not good. He's not like consistent winning. He's just a silver bullet. That's what Kano is. So yeah, of course, he's going to stick around for quite a while unless he somehow gets pushed to oblivion in some future set. So just expect Kano to exist in perpetuity. It's kind of like Bravo at this point. Bravo's not doing, I mean, technically he did gain 100 points, so I guess that is something. These two heroes just sitting around, piddling around, just chilling, which is kind of funny. In fact, I would say like these 4 heroes, look at them just hanging out. Not really gaining too much, not really losing too much. They're just kind of the mainstays of the format, if you will, which I think is kind of funny. All right, so before we wrap this up, let's go look at how each of these heroes trended, and let's see where the trends point to which hero is going to be clawing their way into the Pro Tour. All right, here's the spreadsheet I've been kicking around and making. By the way, if you want a copy of this or if you want to just mess with this yourself, I have a read-only version in the comments in the description below. Shout out to Clark for telling me to use a bar graph because this thing looks sweet. It looks so good. But look at this. You can go through and you can just pick a hero and watch their trends from week to week. So if you want to see Dromai, who ended up with the most wins across the board, she started off with week 1 win of 7, then week 2 wins of 7, and then she peaks at 14 and then comes back down to earth a little bit at 9, but still carries herself all the way to the first spot over here. Then if we want to kind of break it down, KO stays consistent between 8 and 9 and 10 wins and then drops back down, which I just think is a nice consistency point. It really shows how good that hero is across 4 different weeks, and people targeting it and learning the deck and trying the deck and then trying to play into the deck. Like, this is consistency right here. After 4 weeks of people playing into KO, he's still picking up that many wins. He's going to continue to climb. This is not what you worry about, but this is the problem with Pro Tour, right? I mean, you look at Kano. This is Kano's numbers. Kano goes from 12 wins to 5 wins to 6 wins with little peak up to 0 wins on week 4. What does that mean if you're like a Pro Tour player trying to figure out if you should, guarantee some sideboard slots into Kano? Do you like look at this and go, okay, he's downward trending, maybe people are off him for the Pro Tour and they're going to be playing something that's more consistent? Or do you go, I don't want to be paired in round 1 on Classic Constructed and just die to a Kano and be 0-1? That would feel so bad if you choose not to put that into your deck. And I always go back to this. It's about you. It's about what you're going to do and put it in your deck. And not only is it about you, but you can make the choice to put those cards in your deck, and you choosing to not do that can result in you losing the game. Plus, you can also choose to support this channel and celebrate 19,000 subscribers by buying one of our hoodies. We've got a DM Armada hoodies. Let's go. Look, someone told me they wanted it to be Levia's head on top, so I put Levia's head on top. You could have a black DM Armada hoodie. You could have a blue DM Armada hoodie if you wanted to look extra clean. If you wanted to look so good at your next competitive event, you could buy a DM Armada hoodie and support the channel and celebrate 19,000 subscribers with us. Check the link in the description and it will tell you how to buy a hoodie. Now, continuing to look at these heroes, we already looked at Dromai. The other one that I want to look at is Victor. He continues to go down a little bit after his big spike in week 2. I don't know if people are going to be running him out there versus Bravo. I have a feeling Bravo's probably going to be the pick, but I feel like there's so many people that just talk about the value that Victor provides, both just efficiency and also just some of his cards provide. And yet I think that the press the win now button just feels probably better in Bravo. Nevertheless, like the way that this hero kind of rebounded week 4, maybe that's a point that we point to and say, okay, maybe people are prepping for the big dance, if you will. Kasai does this. She just stays consistent, but she drops off a little bit. She's 1 less win than her previous 5s, previous to that. So that's a little interesting. I really expected Dorinthia to do far more. She kind of pings around. Katsu, look at this. Katsu starts off slow and goes up and stays consistent. This is definitely one to keep your eye on. I would watch out for Katsu, and I think Katsu's going to be present pretty heavily at the Pro Tour, at least if not like in numbers, but in quality of players and in finishes. I am expecting a lot from Katsu. I could be wrong, but I am definitely expecting that. One thing I expected more from is Levia. She kind of just stays low. Hard deck to play, perhaps, and it can just kill you on its own, which is never fun. You don't really want that. And then where's the other one that I was expecting more? Dash. I was expecting more from Dash as well. It does make a little bit of a rebound here going up to 4, and so maybe people are going to be, shifting over to like a mid-range / slab Dash, if you will, for Pro Tour as well. But I do think she'll be present on the day. Look at this. Look at that growth. Betsy shooting to the top, right to the top. It's super fantastic. And this is one that I'm so sad by, because I think Reinar deserves more love than this. Perhaps it's the sleeper deck, like many are calling it, and I called it in one video, the sleeper deck of the Pro Tour, simply because he can just do terrifying, intimidate things and make all of your best laid plans moot and any other superlative. So I don't know. That's a really interesting one. And then this one, Uzuri is also one that's like kind of hiding off in the. I mean, it's very, I guess, assassin-esque. She's always been kind of in the undercurrent. She picked up a battle-hardened win, and just kind of sitting in the background, always getting points. And here did not do much. I think that she didn't do much this RTN season just because freaking, where's she? There she, Dromai just preys on her. Like, it is such a hard matchup to just kind of deal with the dragons from the assassin side. Really, totally both Uzuri and where's my other assassin? He was like right here. Where is he at? Arachne. Arachne's the other one that's a struggle for both of them. If I'm looking to pick a deck for Pro Tour at this point, looking at this amount of data, it's a hard pick to just say this is the best deck in the format. I mean, you could maybe look at Dromai and say this is the best deck in the format, but I think she does have some holes to, you know, something like a Katsu, which is a very good matchup for Katsu in my opinion, at least the way I've played that out. And you can race it if you're playing the aggro version, but Katsu is just so good at lining up dishonors now and so good at pushing like 30-point turns if you're not respecting it, that you kind of have to play this back and forth tit for tat game. And that can oftentimes go the way of the Katsu player if you don't bring the right equipment and the right blocking tools and like sinks and things like that. So we'll see if that kind of plays out at Pro Tour. KO is also, I feel like, going to be a lot of people's comfort pick. I feel like he's so consistent at putting damage down onto the table that it's easy to just run that out there. If you're looking at a split format event and you're saying to yourself, I need a deck that wins consistently and has a good matchup spread, KO feels like a really solid pick. And honestly, it's not the, it's not brain dead. It's not like one of those decks that you can't show skill expression in, which is great for top level players. But it's also not the most, incomprehensible, complicated deck, something like a Kano or a Prism to try and figure out, which makes it a really good like landing point for certain players. And then you look at like a Guardian, a Victor, or a Bravo even down here. I feel like both of those are also very good picks. I would not be surprised to see some of the best players in the world pick up Bravo or pick up Victor. That would not shock me. And then, of course, I have to say, if everyone goes into the Pro Tour thinking to themselves, I'm not going to devote the slots to Kano, I'm not going to put Arcane Barrier in, a Kano could just sit down and run away with the entire tournament. And I would not at all be surprised to see. If there's a Kano in the top 8 and there's like 2 Dromai and a Bravo and a Katsu and a Kasai, like if that's the breakdown, I could see Kano just walking through that top 8. Not even close, particularly. Like, I could see Majin Bey just picking this up. I could see Alex Vor, if he goes to Kano, just picking this up and just walking away with the tournament. And that right there is what's going to make this the most interesting Pro Tour we've ever had in this game ever. And I have so much freaking FOMO for not getting to go and watch it live in person. It was unfortunately too expensive for me to swing this time, and I am super sad. Literally, I woke up today and looked at flights and just said, could I swing it? And it's just it's depressing, but that's okay because we'll get to watch it together on a fantastic stream. So let me know what you think about this video, and if you enjoyed this type of breakdown. I did one of these per week through the entire RTN season. If you want me to do that for ProQuest or anything else, let me know that in a comment below and make the number go slightly higher. If you hit the like button, it flashes. Watch, I proved it, see? And make this number go up, because if the number goes up, this goes at some point to a 2. And two's better than 1. I heard 1's the lonely. I'm done. 1's the loneliest number.